Hey guys, I'm Tom.
I'm Sam.
We're Geeks with a Podcast. Well, this is Geeks with a Podcast. We're Geeks with Issues.
We're Geeks with Issues, recording a podcast, and we don't even know how to do our intro.
We don't.
So we obviously have issues.
Yeah, one day I'll figure this out.
One day.
Good news is we're only on, what is this, issue 4?
Issue number 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, issue number 4.
Issue 4. So, I've only screwed up probably 4 times. Maybe the 5th time I'll get it right.
Yeah, I mean,
Tune
fifth
in
time's the
next
charm.
week. Or 2 weeks, or whenever the fuck we record this.
Yeah, we're getting about 2 weeks now. Every 2
Yeah.
weeks a podcast. Maybe we'll get to 1 week eventually.
Maybe.
But until then, we'll bring it to you when we can.
Yes. Speaking of things that I brought over this amazing audiobook to Sammy.
Yes, it's pretty good.
Might be the best, was it 7 minutes and 42 seconds or something like that?
It's some of the best content I've listened to in a little bit. Better than our content, for
Obviously,
sure.
yes, by leaps and bounds.
So let's lay the premise of why this book was created, we should say.
By leaps and bounds, I mean Marlon Bundo.
Marlon Bundo.
So Marlon Bundo is the bunny that was, adopted by the Vice President Mike Pence and his family. So it is the BOTUS, the bunny of the United States. And Marlon Bundo is, I have to agree with John Oliver, it is a great name. I can't find any fault in that name.
Yeah, no, at least Pence named it right, or
Yeah,
whoever in his family named it right.
They did a good job there.
I'm sure he wasn't creative enough to do that.
Who knows? But anyway, so they have this bunny, and they set up this bunny. They set up this bunny to have like its own Instagram account and stuff, and they post pictures for Marlon Bundo, and like he's the one doing it. And then they penned a book deal for him. The Marlon Bundo is now has a children's book, which I believe is A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo. Is that the name of that book?
It sounds right. I will Google it while you talk.
And then Mike Pence is very much against LGBTQ.
Anything.
Anything, really. I mean, very, very much against it. And he's signed laws into being that would put the LGBTQ community in a bind. They could very easily be discriminated against, and that he would do this. He does stuff like that, and then he kind of like tiptoes around the idea that he created these situations. He doesn't really want to admit to it, so he won't deny it, but he doesn't really admit to it. It's this whole thing. It's giant load of BS because he knows what he's doing, but he doesn't want to admit to it because they don't want to seem like he's a douchebag like he is.
But he is.
And so he also does a lot of stuff with the foundation called For the Family, which if you don't know who they are, they pretty much are one of those groups that are like, we can pray the gay out of you, or we can rehabilitate you so you're not gay anymore. Because
that's just how it works.
Yeah, apparently. That's
sarcasm there if you don't understand sarcasm.
Yeah.
Just want to make that clear.
Right. So they do that. They do that kind of stuff. And part of the press junket for Vice President Pence's Bundo book, which actually it's his daughter wrote that book with illustrations. Their mom. I think the mom helped with the illustrations. But part of that press junket was eventually to go to stop at the For the Family. And the idea of that is that just kind of politicizes this children's book that doesn't necessarily need to be a part of politics.
Yeah.
But because they were doing that, the crew over at Last Week Tonight, which is John Oliver's show on HBO, decided they were going to make their own book. And not only did they make their own book and got their audio book going with a great cast, they also released it a day before the Pence's book was released. So they got the jump on it.
Undercut them.
Oh, yeah. By a lot. I mean, really, John Oliver's team's book, that one, what we will call the better Bundo book, as John Oliver referred to it as, that one's called A Day in the Life of Marlon Bundo.
They pretty much went and showed Marlon Bundo He likes to hop with another male bunny.
Yeah, I mean, he does.
He just wants to hop with another male
Yeah.
bunny. What's so weird about that?
It's a book about finding love and being different, and that it's a
And
kid's
being
book.
accepted.
And it's written as a kid's book. It's nothing explicit. It's nothing like all that deep. I mean,
At all.
It's
So the deepest thing that it got to be is Marlon Bundo wanted to just hop with his other male bunny friend
and they loved it. They loved hopping together so much that they didn't want to hop without each other.
for the rest of their lives.
So they decided they wanted to get married.
So they could hop together for the rest of their lives.
And all of their friends said, "Yay!"
Yeah.
because that's what friends do.
Exactly.
I've
Except-
apparently listened to this book, like,
Except for the
twice.
stink bug.
Yeah, the stink bug.
The
Who is
stink
the
bug-
stinkiest?
Yes, the stinkiest of them all said, no, that's not right. A male bunny has to be with a female bunny. And everybody looked at him weird.
Yeah.
And
And
then,
he said it's not okay because you're different.
yeah.
And so then they decided that they were going to vote, and they decided on voting on anybody but the stink bug.
Mm-hmm.
That was their vote. Their vote was not the stink bug.
Yep.
So
Stink
they got
bug-
rid of the stink bug.
Yeah, stink bug doesn't win. No one cares about his opinion anymore. And the bunnies
Bunnies.
were allowed to hop together for the rest of their
yes,
lives.
They were. And so one thing is good to be mentioned is both of these books were made to raise money for various charities. The Better Bundo book, it was raised money for the Trevor Project, which supports the LGBTQ youth, as well as they were raising money for AIDS United charity. And that was all of their proceeds from that book went to those. I don't know how much from the Mike Pence from the original went, but they were raising for it's called A21, I think, which was it's anti-sex trafficking.
Still very good cause.
Oh yes, both of them
Very
very
good
good causes. Which Charlotte Pence, the author of the original Bundo book, did a really good job when they asked her, and she bought Oliver's team's book. She bought the Better Bundo book because she understood that it was the Better Bundo book. But she bought it, and she said, they're raising money for a good charity, and there's nothing wrong with that. You don't need to take it any further than that. There's no reason for it to be divisive. And so she supported and purchased one of them as well. Also to be noted, John Oliver's team did not think they were going to sell any books. Like, they were pretty sure they weren't selling anything.
Yeah.
They made this as a joke, so they didn't have enough. So they actually sold out. So now people are waiting on, for the physical copy. People
They
are
need
actually
more.
waiting on the book to be printed. And the Better Bundo book did win out because it sat on the Amazon bestseller list far ahead of Mike Pence's book. So
Bam.
it started at 1. On Monday when Mike Pence's book came out, it was at 6. I think the Pence's book got up to 4th place.
Still good.
Still better
Still
than
good.
anything I would do.
Raising that
So-
money for good causes.
Oh yeah, but yeah, it was an interesting thing. Charlotte Pence is probably the most level-headed person who I've seen an interview with. Everyone else is bashing John Oliver, calling him vile or despicable or whatever for politicizing something that Mike Pence already politicized.
And I mean, the most vile thing in that book is when the dog says, in response to something the stink bug says, I don't know, I just sniff butts sometimes.
Oh yeah, because the stink bug tells them that it's not okay to be different.
Yes,
and they all talk about how how they do things that are different. Like the one reads the end of the book to see if it's going to be too sad, and if it's too sad, she won't read the book. The dog sometimes he sniffs butts, and he just doesn't know why.
Yeah, that was it. The full quote was, I don't know why. Sometimes I just sniff butts. Best quote out of the book ever.
Yeah, it was a good.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you just blew that one out.
I blew that out.
It's a good kids book. It was the best $2 I've ever spent on Audible. Might be the only $2 I spent on Audible unless I decide I want to get those Harry Potter books.
Oh, I
give them
put
another
way
try.
too much money into Audible. Well, not too
you-
much money because I've gotten a lot of entertainment out of it, and you get to keep your books on Audible,
Right, yeah.
which is great.
I say you put in a lot of money, and I totally used your account for a solid 2 years.
Yeah, I had it for a good 2 years. I have over 40 books on it.
Yeah.
But I got it when it was $7.99 a month.
Yeah, it's
then
like
not the $14. Yeah, it's fucking
15
$14 now. Fucking
Yeah,
crazy.
I was like, I'm
Just
not
get
really gonna do
Libby.
that.
Just get Libby. Overdrive. Get a library card. Use Libby. Support your local library. It's great. Tell your kids about it. Go there. Get them books. Get them books on their smartphone. Get them listening to audiobooks. It's great. Especially if they suck at reading like I do.
Oh,
It's
God,
just
yes.
great. You get
Horrible.
more engaged. You get your mind working. And it's just something good
It was
all around.
Yeah, I'd say it was great because I used to listen to the Game of Thrones books on there,
Mm-hmm.
and I would listen to them while I was at my job.
Yep.
And it was just great to have something else to listen to rather than just music. I love music, but sometimes I need something else to be more engaging. And the Game of Thrones books were perfect for that. Yeah, they're engaging.
They're definitely engaging.
I could probably re-listen to them and still find all the things that I missed the first time around.
Oh, yeah. There's so many things you can miss in that.
Oh, God, yes. And then you realize the things that he set up because he actually planned it out. And you're like, holy shit, this is what actually that meant. And it's all kinds of craziness.
I don't know. Audiobooks are great, though. I've been really enjoying going back through the Harry Potters. So I feel like you probably would. I know you like the movies and you didn't really like the books too much for the situation of how you read them.
I have a feeling it's going to be the fact of how I came across the books, which, in case you don't know, my 4th grade or 5th grade science teacher would read like a chapter out of the first book to us every day or something like this, and I really was not interested in it at all.
And in reading, I could understand, but it's science.
I'm in in science class, and my teacher's reading to us. It wasn't even like we were I love science, but it wasn't like we were reading the book to make it. You're reading it, so you give it your own voices and stuff. Someone was reading it to us, and that's where I was just like,
weird that a science teacher would read something about magic too.
Yeah,
something that is not scientifically possible.
Well, to be fair, magic is just science we don't understand.
I agree. I'm the pagan one here. Trust me, I understand. I have my own definition of science and magic, and I think they meld together.
Yeah.
I think what we could call magic in some way, shape, or form, like if you try to do a spell of whatever type of way you do, like spell for more money or something, it's just like a faith and prayer. If you pray enough, you're praying and you're setting your faith and your, what do you call it? Your subconscious towards a goal. If you set your subconscious towards a goal, you're going to strive for that goal subconsciously and just keep working at it. And I think that's what faith does, and prayer and things. It solidifies your subconscious that you're going for this goal, and so then you're going to be predestined to succeed at it if you really have that much faith and keep praying or keep magicking or keep doing whatever towards that goal. You're going to be predisposed to get more wealth. Love potions and wealth potions. That's obviously a little bit more physical world oriented, but if you focus your mind on that, you might find it easier than if you hadn't. And that's what I believe magic could be.
I want to be real cynical for a second.
Oh, go for it.
Because you brought up faith and prayer and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
And because we always have thoughts and prayers. It was another week and another school shooting.
Thoughts and prayers.
Yes, thoughts and prayers. We're totally fixing those guns right now.
Not to mention the teacher who shot themselves.
Oh, the principal.
Oh, it was the principal. Even better.
If we're talking about the same one, there was a principal who couldn't deal with all these killings, and he shot himself, leaving a message to his students. Which, oh man, you'd be like, I can't handle this, and now this message to the students is like, if you can't handle this, kill yourself, and you're supposed to be their leader. It's a weird situation.
I
don't think he actually left a physical message for the kids, but
yeah, no, I didn't hear about that one. What I heard about, and I didn't read fully into it, was apparently. And this could just be some liberal left media just trying to go at the right. But I heard that a trained teacher accidentally shot themselves in the leg on school property.
Oh, that I didn't hear that one.
Yeah.
This was a principal who became so depressed from all the stuff that's been going on and having to explain it to the kids at the schools. He actually ended up killing himself or herself.
Very counterintuitive, man.
Yeah.
Very counterintuitive.
But that's what depression will do to you.
It does. It's a tricky one.
But yeah, that was my cynical moment I had. You brought that up, and I was like,
"Oh no,
this
not
is
a problem."
Perfect segue for me. I couldn't pass that up.
I thought we were going to jump into like a philosophical,
no,
religion conversation there for a second. That's
I had two things. So like that was the one side of it, and the other side was going back to your original comment about the whole prayer and science or magic and science and stuff. And I've been reading the Marvel books and stuff, and I've gotten more into the Doctor Strange books. But even in like X-Men and the Generations series, which puts some of the heroes into various other stories of their counterparts. So like Carol Danvers, Captain Marvel meets Marvel. You don't know any of these characters, but anyways, in the Generations one, Riri Williams gets sent into the future, and she meets Tony Stark in the future, and he is the Sorcerer Supreme, which is what Doctor Strange holds the title of. And it's weird because Tony Stark's a big science guy and tech guy, and he's a Sorcerer Supreme. So he's like, it's the idea of like it's still science.
Yeah,
he broke it down to a science. The X-Men books, in the original X-Men being brought into the future, the original Beast is still human, but he's been dabbling in magic, and he's been doing it in a mathematical format, and figuring out formulas and stuff and putting that into his magic and how he's able to do it. So you were seeing this shift even in the comics of pushing more of that, like, it's looked at as magic, but it's still science.
It's all in one,
So it's
all encompassing.
Those are the two things that came to mind while you were talking, but I couldn't pass up being cynical first.
Showing your true geekiness of your
Yes.
comic book background.
So much geekiness. I read another Spider-Man comic, and then I realized I never bought the Spider-Men comic, which put Peter Parker and Miles Morales together. They're from
Interesting.
different universe. So it's the Peter Parker of 616 universe, which is your standard Marvel universe.
Okay.
And then Miles Morales was in the Ultimate Universe, which I can't remember that 4-digit number.
Ultimate.
I just
We'll
call it the
that.
Ultimate Universe. 'Cause that's what
Yeah.
it is. And in the Ultimate Universe, the Peter Parker of that universe sacrifices himself and he dies, and then Miles Morales picks up the Spider-Man persona afterwards. And in Spider-Man, the Peter Parker from 616 ends up in the Ultimate Universe, and they meet, and eventually it's kind of a coming-of-age story for Miles, because through the course of this, he realizes that he is okay to be Spider-Man, and that he can hold his own in the Spider-Man title.
Mhm.
That he doesn't need to keep trying to live up to Peter and be Peter. He needs to be Spider-Man as Miles.
Yeah.
And it's this really cool story that I heard a lot about, and I never picked it up. And I'm like, oh, I'll pick that up. So I'm starting to read that now. And then, of course, my Dungeon World book showed up.
I was gonna say you've delved into the geekiness even more.
And I started.
Your toes got pulled under the water.
I'm like ankles deep right now.
Yeah, you're at least ankle deep, and then you went even further.
I did. We went and played 40K today.
You now have two
That's my
games of
second.
40K.
Yeah, that's my second game of 40K.
So we played a small game of 40K.
Yes.
And then we quadrupled that for today. We played a 4 times bigger game today.
Yes.
With me and you playing my Tau against my buddy John's Eldar.
Yeah.
We did pretty good, though. We did pretty good for being really fucked on deployment.
I pulled a lot of really bad cards for us.
So we played.
I don't know why you kept letting me do that.
I figured to engage you as much as we can. So we played Open War, where you draw a card for deployment, you draw a card for the objective, and you draw a card for the twist. Our deployment was one army got the 18 inches, 9 inches away from the middle of the board, and then the other person got 15 inches on either edge of the long board. It's a 6x4 board. So there was only 15 inches on either edge for us to place our pieces, because if we placed in the center, we played a gunline army, tower gunline. It's not good to have your gunline being able to be attacked from any way.
Yeah.
So we turtled up in a corner, and we were only 12 inches away from our enemy, who could like move 18 inches in a turn.
Yeah, he had a couple of just move the entire length of the board type rolls.
Yeah, so we didn't get a good deployment, and then the twist was everything gets +1 attack in melee. So we're already not a melee army, and they just rushed us and attacked first turn. But we got to go first, and we shot up a shit ton of it.
Yeah, we did.
Had they been farther away and we got to shoot 2 turns before they attacked us, I think we would have won.
Yeah.
100%, I think we
I'd say
would
the
have won.
only other thing we could have changed was that first turn. We did focus a lot of fire on the plane.
Yeah. And then the Eldar pulled some trickiness and made the plane really hard to shoot.
Yeah. So if we would have focused on maybe the other units and left the plane alone, but the plane was kind of the
big baddie.
Yeah, it's the big baddie. It was like the biggest issue on the board, so it made sense to try to get rid of it as
Mhm.
quickly as we could. But I mean, if we had changed that, we probably could have lasted maybe another turn
Mhm.
before having to get.
Yeah. But
We did have some really good rolls, though.
Yes.
We did destroy a number of the ships that would have made it, being able to move a lot faster to begin with.
Yeah,
Being
we
up
destroyed
close.
half the army, for
Yeah.
sure. It's just, and we were playing kill points. So however many points your units are worth that got killed is the amount. And so even if he killed 3/4 of our army and we only killed a half of his, he could have just hid the rest of the stuff from us so we couldn't kill it, and then
Yeah.
that's the game. But I was very happy with how we did. How did you like the game overall for your first huge dive into 40K?
It was overwhelming at times.
Yes.
There were definitely times where I spaced out because it was just how long it was going and I wasn't used to it.
Uh-huh.
So that happened a couple of times, but I enjoyed it. Like overall, I enjoyed it. It's just one of those things of took a lot longer, and I wasn't expecting it to take as long as it did.
Yeah.
I guess I was expecting it to take obviously longer than the game that we played. So there was those types of differences that kind of threw me off a little bit.
Yeah.
But still, a lot of fun. I felt engaged. I felt like there was still a lot. Like I was learning a lot as I was watching it.
Oh yeah.
And I was able to even point out, like you were doing something. Wait, how about what if we tag first? Like because you were going and shooting. I'm like, wait, we can tag some stuff first. Do we want to do that? There's a couple of times it was beneficial.
Oh yeah. You definitely helped me out a lot.
I was paying attention and I was focusing on it, but at times I definitely did kind of zone out a little bit.
Yeah, because this was the first time playing my newest army with all the new rules that came out on Saturday. So I'd say rules, and Tom would pick them up, and then I'd forget about them because I'm thinking about my other two armies playing.
Yeah.
Oh, they can't do that. But no, these guys can, so they could re-roll ones and things like that.
Right.
And Tom would be like, can't you do that? Fuck, you're right, thank you.
Yeah, I was picking up on the re-rolling for the command points, reminding you and asking about those if you're able to. Oh, when our first tank died,
Yes.
the shield drones coming out, I was like, oh hey, what about that? Like,
Yep.
oh yeah, we put those out.
Whenever the Tau tanks die, they get their drones popping off that take
Yes.
their place and still get to shoot things. So yeah.
Yeah.
I think you did well. And yeah, I think next game we play, we definitely won't do a 2,000 pointer like that one was. I've been playing a lot of 1250 to 1500, and I think that is a sweet spot of the game.
I could see that. I could.
1250 to 1500, I think is the best.
Mhm.
John likes to play some bigger games. Nothing wrong with that either. But sometimes they do take longer. They get overwhelming.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I even get overwhelmed sometimes. That's why I think John wanted us to finish up the rest of the game. And
Yeah.
I'm like, we got one fucking unit left.
Right.
Well, we had our tank who had like 3 wounds left on it. We had 2 sets of infantry that were able to shoot marker lights, which are literally like tracer rounds you'd fire at something to light it up and make everybody else be able to shoot it better. And then we had our battle suits that had a lot of guns on them, but they were on the other side of the field because we dropped them in their backfield so they could shoot at their back. And then instead of dividing up his forces, he just had everything charge a gun line and nothing go for the back line. So they had to walk up and try to shoot things as they could. They would have had to walk up a few times, and they would have gotten picked off before they did anything else.
Right.
But I think he really wanted to finish that.
I think he did too.
But, oh well. But yeah, that was your second game of 40K.
Yes.
And I'm sure there will be more.
I'm sure. There always is.
Yeah. But yeah, you said you've been reading Dungeon World.
Yeah.
So how's it reading it now after playing a few times?
Well, because I haven't gotten like I'm like 4 or 5 pages into this
true.
thing, so I'm not super far
That's
into
true.
it. I really haven't hit like the important bits. It's still the intro. Like I read the blurbs about the basic classes that they give you, the why play, like why you'd want to play, and then just starting to get into the very basic stuff of how to play. I think is where I'm at, and I would say it's surprisingly, like, and it's weird to say, but surprisingly, I feel like it's written in an engaging manner.
Oh, it is.
Which is what I wasn't. I was, for whatever
it's not
reason,
like the
well,
dry D&D books.
I've never read any of those.
Very dry.
What I was expecting was like a school textbook.
Yeah,
read.
no.
Like that's what I was anticipating when I got it. And reading it, it's very much written in a way that portrays a role-playing game.
Yeah.
It's written in a creative way, in an engaging way. It's written as though almost fourth wall breaking, because it's talking to you as the person reading it and explaining it to you, but then it's just engaging. I don't know how else to explain it.
Yeah, I don't know. That book read very well. I don't know if it's powered by the Apocalypse who wrote it. Like, they wrote a book that you can read through narratively about a narrative game.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I suck at reading. I breezed through that book. I didn't read every monster, though, but I breezed through the book within 4 days.
Nice.
So, wasn't hard at all. I'm curious what you're going to think about after reading the actual handbook about the game, because you've already started to come up with some very interesting character background ideas for different characters you want to play.
Yeah.
And you've just texted me out of nowhere like, hey, what if I played a schizophrenic character who didn't even know that he had triggers, and once this trigger came up, he just switches to the other personality, and no one in the party knows even why.
Right.
And they just are all of a sudden dealing with this completely other type of person than they were 10 seconds before, and he doesn't know why. and they don't know why either. And that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh,
Schizophrenia.
I'm super excited to put that into play when we get another campaign or something going, because I want to know what the GM would do, and it just creates more interaction for me in the game that makes me feel more submerged into the story that we're playing, because now I would essentially be playing two characters. I mean, they have the same body, same characteristics, same abilities, but mannerisms have to be completely different. Maybe even vocals would be completely different, and I have to be able to portray that so if it continuously happens, the party understands that, oh wait, something's
happened here. We don't know what happened. But
we don't know why it's happening, but they have there are cues to it, and I like the idea of it. I've thought about the idea of like taking it further, but then as I do that, I'm like, oh no, that's way too complicated. That's just putting way too much into this. That's
putting the right amount into it.
Well, no, not right now it is.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I was thinking, like, what if the other personality had a completely different, like same character, so same character sheet, but like he had different spells. Like they had access to two separate sets of spells, which I think becomes way too complicated and kind of push. You'd have to spend a lot of
too complicated, but GM would have to.
You'd have to sit down and have like
ref it.
Yeah,
that you didn't trigger yourself in times where it would be helpful.
Right. Well, again,
or if you did,
well, then, like I text you, the trigger would be based on the GM's discretion. So it's not me triggering it; it's the GM saying, "Oh, this happened. I think that's one of your triggers. Roll for Constitution, roll con, and see what happens." And in that case, that ends up that leaves more of the discretion up to the GM for how that might take place. But it just I don't know if it'd be overcomplicating it to be like, here's more of the lighter spells and that's what the good side has, but here's all the really darker ones and that's what the darker one has.
Yeah, that would be fun.
It'd be a cool concept, but I don't know how well it'd play out.
Yeah,
and then you have to deal with like, how do you level them? Do they each have their own leveling?
Yeah, because that's where it would get iffy and gray in a way of like, oh, after this trigger you might have those spells and it makes the encounter way too easy or things like that.
Yeah.
So there could be a balance issue with that, but I like the idea. Like, especially like, say part of your character was good, part of it was evil, and you're going at a goal, and so each side of that person, like the quest, you have to obtain this item for good. Well, the bad part wants to obtain the item too, but for evil or something like that.
Well, they may just want to destroy it in general.
Exactly, or destroy it. And then so they're going towards the same goal for two different reasons. So whoever gets to it at that point could either fuck the party or really help the party out.
Yep. There's a lot of really cool things I can do with that, and I think once I present it to whoever the GM is, whether it's you or one of the others, that would definitely there'd be more talking about it and fleshing out the concept at that point.
Yes.
But I would have to see who it is and how far they would want to take that.
Makes sense.
But I'm thoroughly excited to try and put that idea into play.
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a good one, and I'd be excited to see it. I'm kind of hoping Dan will GM, because I'm kind of excited to do some more Dungeon World. I haven't done any in a while. My Monday night group, we're going to do Numenaria, which is kind of a hybrid between Dungeon World and D&D, I guess you could say. It's kind of a D20 system. It uses D20s, uses other dice, so it's not just a 2D6 like Dungeon World.
Okay.
But it's more narrative than D&D is. And I think my group on Monday is struggling with that kind of, because they're not used to the narrative games. So like in 3.5, there's a rule called initiative, where you have initiative, you roll a D20 and you add your initiative to it. Whoever gets the highest goes first.
Okay.
Well, there's a skill at Numenaria called initiative, and like me and the GM had to explain to the rest of the group that initiative doesn't mean you go first in combat. Initiative means you have the initiative, you're striving for something. Your skill is, if something comes up, you have the initiative to strive for it first. So like, if you had the initiative skill, I'd say if you do something before somebody else, no matter what it is, you take the initiative and maybe you get a +1 to that roll. Because that's what it's about. If you have the skill, you get like a +1 to the check.
Okay.
So if you take the initiative before someone else does, I'd say you get a +1. But they're like, doesn't mean I go first in combat. And it's like, no, initiative was defined like that in one D&D game doesn't mean the rest of the books out there and the rest of the world means initiative means you go first in combat. So we got to break everybody in my Monday group out of this word means that. Because that's how they played for like 30 years. Because everybody else is older than me. I'm the youngest one in that group. I think Sean is the next closest to me, and he's in his 30s. Alan's like 42. Dave's like 37. I think the other guy's like 45 or something. And another guy's like in his 30s. But like, so I'm the youngest guy, and all these guys are set in their ways of old hardcore D&D, old, very rule-abiding. Like, if there's not a rule for it, we don't know what to do, type deal. And I don't play like that anymore because we've been playing Dungeon World. Like, shit, there's not a rule for that. This is what I'm doing.
Right. Yeah. I was like, even
you take advantage of where there's no rules in those games.
Yeah. Well, you have to explain how you're trying to do it in that case if you don't have a rule, and then it kind of helps define what you're doing a little bit better rather than just saying, I'm doing this, and then
exactly
trying to do it in a 2D fashion, whereas if you do it in a narrative thing, you're doing it in more of a 3D fashion, which, you know.
And all that conversation for my Monday game was only from creating characters, so we didn't even start playing yet. God. So it'll be interesting to see how it turns out next Monday.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I have not done any type of D&D style game. I mean, Dungeon World's the closest I've gotten to it. So,
I think you would like 4th edition. It's like playing Final Fantasy Tactics in role playing. In 4th edition D&D, the combat is very heavily tactic, like push and pull. Everybody has like things that could push and pull people. Environmental things are very big. Like there's a puddle of water over there, and there is an electrical wire. I mean, obviously in D&D there's probably not many electrical wires, but say you move that electrical wire into that pool over there and then push someone into that pool, they'll get shocked. And very square-based, squad-based, tactical-based, whatever you want to call it. Combat that flows very fun. Role-playing kind of takes a side seat sometimes in that game because encounters do take so long and there's so much to go with it, but it is still a fun game. Okay. It's one of those things of, do I want to have a tactical game? Go for 4th edition D&D. Do I want to have a technical role-playing game? Go for 5th edition D&D. Do I want to have a fun narrative game? Go for one of the others. Okay. And that's how it goes. RPGs are weird.
They are. I think my mind kind of melts when you start talking like the various editions of D&D, and I'm like, it's a lot. There's a lot there, and because I haven't really delved into any of that, it's overwhelming, but it's a different language at times because
it would be a different language for you. Jumping from Dungeon World to D&D, even I don't know 5th edition, 4th edition or 3.5, especially 3.5, you'd be like, do I need to be a fucking rocket scientist? Like a geeky RPG scientist? I don't know how to do this character creation. It takes an hour and a half? What? Not 10 minutes? This is crazy. I digress. That's D&D.
Okay. Well, maybe one day.
One day.
We're trying things. I'm trying new things, so maybe one day.
One day over the rainbow where Kirby flies in Dreamland.
I mean, yeah. It's usually where he's found.
Yeah. Speaking of, I heard that game was a pretty big disappointment.
Not a disappointment, just
not
whelming.
A disappointment. If you are looking for a Kirby game, probably from Super Nintendo days, about type style, I guess. Because remember, we played that one. We played one on the Super Nintendo Classic.
Yep.
And you were able to be his friends. That's how we played multiplayer in that. From the demo of this one I played, that Super Nintendo one was about exactly the same. And this is much updated graphics.
Yeah. I mean, there's a different mechanic for getting the friends.
Yes, definitely different mechanic. But the second player was your friend.
Similar premise.
They just haven't done enough different.
Yeah.
And it's still...
The difference, they've done different, which was Robo Battle or whatever it was.
Yeah, and they have done different in the past, and they've
I've heard
returned
good
to
things
the same
about some
formula.
Yeah, and I mean, a return to form isn't bad. From what I read, part of the issue was that the level design was just bland, and it's not underwhelming, it's not overwhelming, it's just whelming. It's there, and I'd rather play a game that's underwhelming because at least I have something to complain about. But it's just meh. Then I just I play it and I go, I could have played something better. Like I just could have just gone and played an old game and had a better time.
Yeah. What disappointed me was I was playing Splatoon, and then Brian or Bex, one of them told me that there was a demo out. And so I'm like, oh, shit, I got to go get the demo. And then I think it was Brian. He told me, well, the easy level was really fucking easy. But there's a hard level. I'm like, well, then I'm going to just play the hard level. Because
Yeah.
easy level's too easy. Let's find out how bad hard is. So I played the hard level. I got my 4 companions. And it's really easy when you're playing by yourself because then your computer companions just start doing
Oh
the
yeah,
puzzles and the things that need to be done.
as you figure out the first piece of the puzzle, they do the rest.
Yeah, they will unlock the rest. So
Which
like
is kind
you
of
do
boring.
step 1,
Really
step 2,
boring,
3, and 4 is done automatically.
Yeah, playing Portal, and I would shoot one portal, and then all of the other portals would just show up,
Yeah.
and then I would just beat the level. Like that's what pretty much would happen.
Exactly. And then there was one point where you had to split up. So 2 people go that way, 2 people go the other way. So I didn't even take a second to try to figure out what was going on in the puzzle. I didn't know there were 2 opposite ways to go. And the computer just started going before I did, up the other way, and then he opened a passage. Like, it was one of those puzzles where you go up over here, you go up over here, you both hit switches, and you let each other go.
I had one of those on the easy one.
And he just went up the other side, hit the switch, and I'm like, oh, well, I guess that's what I got to do. Let me go hit the switch for him.
I moved forward, and I didn't even realize there were switches. I just moved forward, and I was watching everything move up and down. I just assumed that it was all on a location basis. So you hit a certain point, and it would just go up. I mean, I guess it is because there's a switch. But
Yeah.
I didn't see a switch. I just assumed that, oh, you move up, and then this moves, and you just got to be careful so you don't fall off the stage. But in fact, it's just you hit a switch, they hit a switch. And it was just up and down, back and forth, and I had just moved forward. Didn't really have to stop or anything.
Yeah, and had I not seen the CPU do the switch, I would have not known it was there, and I wouldn't have pressed it.
It's one of those things, like, it'd be a game to buy, but it's a game to buy when you have at least one other person to play the game with.
Yeah, no, it's
probably best when you have 3 other people to play the game with.
Exactly. I'd
And
say it's a
how-
budget buy for
How
sure.
often are you going to have 3 other people to play this game with? At least to beat it in a time frame of which you're not going to come back to and be like, oh yeah, we haven't played this in 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
And you have to play it and beat it, and then you just look at it and go, maybe the next time I decide I have 4 friends that I want to play this with.
Exactly. And I don't know, the other thing about it is I played that hard level, and not one of my allies went under a third of the health. I had 2/3 of health on every character on the game, and I just beat the hard boss on the game.
Yeah.
Didn't sit right with me that not even one of my allies died.
The one positive thing I read though was that the mini games in it were one of the mini games in it was really fun.
Yeah, minigames are supposed to be fun, and yeah, 4-player co-op is supposed to be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I grow older, there's not often times where I have 4 people in my house like, let's play this game.
Right. Usually if you're playing a game at this point, you're playing it over the internet and
Yeah.
getting people together in their own houses.
Which I like local multiplayer much better than over the internet.
Oh, I do.
I
love
think it's
couch
better.
play more than I do, needing 3 systems and 3 friends. I'd rather, hey, I have a system. Here's some extra controllers. Let's play.
Exactly. That's what I like to do the most. But yeah, so that'll definitely be a budget buy for me when it goes on sale, or if I get some gift cards or whatnot, then pick it up. Because I think it's only like an 8-hour game too. Like, I'm not spending $60 in today's day and age for an 80 or 8-hour game.
Yeah.
Like 10 hours minimum. Come on, guys. Come on.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my say on that though. Another game that was kind of disappointing to me. I saw No Kuni II, and I never played No Kuni 1. I think that's how you pronounce it. Someone correct me if not. But the Studio Ghibli game.
I won't be.
Directly produced by Studio Ghibli and Level 5, the first one. And the second one, Studio Ghibli no longer had anything to do with directly, but the guys who worked with Studio Ghibli to do the art design on the first game did it this time. So they already worked with them. It looks like Studio Ghibli redid Princess Moken. I can never say that name. Mokonoke or
Something like that. Yeah.
the girl looks like the princess. The boy Evan, he's just a bland character. But it's advertised as a game that's a action RPG, or it's RPG, action Japanese RPG kind of, with a kingdom building element. And when you build your kingdom, that's how you upgrade your parties, equipment, and things like that. Looks really cool. All the anime shell shaded. It looks like you're watching anime while you're playing the game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's not one of those, oh, the background's a little bit dimmer and the characters are a little bit lighter. No, this full, like, just straight up anime throughout the whole game. And very good shell-shaded graphics. The monsters look great. Like, it looks like a lot of fun. But it just, I guess the story is not as engaging as it should be.
Okay.
The mechanics are pretty good. And they keep introducing new mechanics as things get boring. So, like, once you get bored with just the regular old run around the map, kill people, that's when they introduce the kingdom. Once you get bored with basic kingdom things, then you get to start doing side quests to recruit civilians into your kingdom and things like that. So they have a lot of the systems down right, but I guess it's just too bland of a story. And I don't know, it looked too good to not want, and now
Yeah.
it just seems to be blah, and it's like, do I want to spend $60 on something blah again?
Well, did you ever play the first one?
No.
My suggestion is buy the first one.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because play the first one. By the time you beat the first one, the
The
second one will
second
be
one
like
should-
half price.
Yeah, I have so many games to play right now, too.
I'm just saying. I mean, like if you want to play the game, play the original one.
Mhm.
I mean, it's on the PS4. That's what it was made on.
Yeah.
So you'll get a good play out of it.
Mhm.
And that one got good reviews, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So
It should have.
you at least you'll get the original basics down, and then if you decide you really want to get the second one, you'll at least have a basis.
Probably what I'll do. Eventually.
Yeah.
Because I got so many games I need to play, and then I bought a laptop so I could start coding remotely again.
How's
Too
that
much
going?
money. Go pretty good. My sister joined me and my buddy Alan the other week, this week, and we got her doing some stuff, and we got a UI coming up for what we're going to develop for RPG character creator and generator. We're going to aspire to make it a group thing, so once you create your character, you could add to a gaming group, and this person's going to be the GM, or this user would be the GM of that gaming group, be able to send you messages back and forth through our application. And it'll all work good for our Monday group because they have a server at their house, so we'll host it on the server, everybody can connect and blah, blah, blah,
Okay.
send messages back and forth. Big aspiration to go for. Probably it'll take months to complete.
Hey.
We'll see how it goes.
Gotta start somewhere.
Exactly. Got to start
It's
somewhere.
just like this channel.
Started
Way
from the
big
bottom, now we're here.
Yeah, way bigger aspirations than where we're at right now. So
Exactly.
you gotta start somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Move your way up.
Yep.
Speaking of bland games and games that have been underwhelming, Assassin's Creed series has more news out
Yes.
or leaks or something. They Ubisoft is horrible at keeping anything under wraps, except for apparently Mario Rabbids, because who the fuck saw that coming?
Yeah, no one. I think that was just one of those things like,
Everyone was like, "Wait, what?" But anyways, so Assassin's Creed took a couple years off before they put out Origins, and they did a fantastic job in doing that. They realized that a yearly release, while it might bring in money, makes a really terrible game that requires a lot of patches and a lot more back end work.
Mhm.
So they took the extra time off, made Origins, made a fantastic game out of it. We're hearing right now that in 2019 we'll be getting a new Assassin's Creed game, and it's apparently going to be set in Greece, which is interesting. So Origins takes place around the time of Caesar and Cleopatra. Those are your two big historical characters in the game. And if that's the beginning of the creed, of the brotherhood, as it were, I'm curious to see what time frame they pick Greece for. I mean, unless Greece is going to be like the creation of the Hidden Blade, because the Hidden Blade was already a thing in Origins. The one character says she found it, and it, gives it to you or whatever. So I guess you could go further back and create the Hidden Blade, but I don't like. I'm just trying to, because that like the most interesting portion of Greek history, I feel like, would be ancient Greek, which would put you before Origins.
Yeah, I would think it would be within the Greek mythological timeline, or mythos timeline,
Right.
which is ancient Greece.
Right.
And I'm actually Googling a timeline of ancient history, because you said Caesar is in the Egyptian Assassin's Creed, correct?
Yes, Caesar and Cleopatra.
Yeah, so if Caesar and Cleopatra are there, pretty sure the typical ancient Greek has already fallen. I don't know much about ancient Greece after the Romans came about, but I believe they kind of That's by the time their republic had already fallen. Rise of the Greek city-states was actually in 800 BC. The founding of Rome was in 753. Interesting. I did not know that. 753 BC, that is. So the rise of the Greek city-states was actually technically after the founding of Rome. Oh no, I'm sorry. It was before. I'm dumb. You count down in BC.
Yeah.
I'm dumb. So yeah, it was 47 years before the founding of Rome. Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like, when was Caesar around? I gotta look up when Caesar was around.
But yeah, so any of the reports say, I mean, it could take place around the time of Origins. But again, it's just, it just puts you past some of the more exciting things. I'd be more interested if they did an ancient Greek, tying it in with like Greek mythology, maybe tying it into like the Trojan War, something like that would be really cool.
That would be amazing.
But that puts you way before, Origins. So that's where things get really weird, and I don't know. I mean, they've created a timeline, so they're creating a box here, and they're gonna box themselves in. So I guess they could kind of just like say fuck the timeline and do whatever if they really wanted to.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because Julius Caesar was like right in the last century before AD. He was like he took office in 44 BC.
Okay.
So yeah, the Greek mythology definitely took place before this Assassin's Creed game, and that'd be weird. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
The fall of the Greek city-states, and that would be cool in the political aspect to see the turmoil of the fall of the Republic of Greece.
That was always like that was the part of the whole Assassin's Creed thing was they kind of took part in that whole political realm, but they were just outside of it, pulling the other set of strings, whereas the Templars would pull one side, they were pulling the other, and that's where a lot of the political fights would end up being. Why the one assassin being part of the revolution and helping the American side, whereas Templars were helping the British side, and various things going back and forth like that. So, I mean, it'd be one of those things that'd be very easy for them to do and to fit that into their story. I mean, even in Origins, the Egyptians you're playing as, Bayek and Aya, they are trying to free Egypt from, these other rulers. They want to put Cleopatra back on the throne, and have Egypt ruled by Egyptians.
All right, yeah, the Greek Dark Ages. Yeah, it seemed like they counted after Alexander died in like 146 BC was when they were definitely falling.
Yeah.
So I guess there could be that sweet spot.
There could be. Come Origins, Alexander the Great's dead, and because you go to his tomb to find some stuff and whatnot, story.
So there could be that sweet spot where it all just meets right up.
Yeah.
Before, but yeah, because it would be too weird if they just went back in time and, oh yeah, Assassin's Creed, it didn't start until like 500 years later, but we're going to have the Assassin's Creed game before the Creed even started.
Yeah. Like, hey, here's the blade. Now you can go murder things, but they're not really part of the Creed. It's just a whole weird thing. I don't know.
Greeks would be smart enough to make that blade.
I guess, yeah, they would be. You could say that, like, the original Creed was back in ancient Greek, and then they all died out, and that disappeared for a while, and just happened to reemerge in Origins with those characters. And then again, you're just muddying the timeline and your own continuity by doing that, and certain retcons just don't go well.
Yeah, because even like for the people they'd use, they always use Da Vinci and all prominent characters at the time. So like, I'm assuming they want to get like at some period around Aristotle or a period around Plato or one of the philosophers or something, pull them in. Because I assume that'd be the smart guy you're talking to.
Probably.
Pythagorean or something like that. Like, oh man, I'm learning how to equate triangles hypotenuse. Like, let me teach you this. That'd be actually pretty sweet. Just see this dude drawing, like, trying to figure out triangles.
I mean, there are a number of like the ancient Greek. Oh fuck, what was Icarus's dad's name?
I don't know.
I can't remember his name, but there are a number of them that were creators and they made different things, and so you could use them as your smart guy too if you went with that. There's all kinds of great options. when I think about trying to put a time that's later on, I'm trying to think of what you'd have, but Greece just kind of falls off after a certain point. And
Yeah, it always does. I mean, look at God of War. That comes out next month.
Right.
It fell out of Greece. They're into the Norse.
yeah, exactly.
What? He's going to be fucking fighting for Ragnarok now?
Yeah. He'll be a force of it.
Yeah. And so that'll be interesting.
Murdering Odin.
Yeah, I hope that God of War will be good. The last God of War was God of War Ascension, really underwhelming. I got halfway through the game and I was like, there's no point in me I don't feel like I need to play this game anymore. I feel like I don't need to know the end of this game.
I played the first two. I don't know that I ever played.
I played the
third
first
one.
3.
I don't know that I ever played the third one.
The third one was all right. First 2 were epic. And then I played a couple of the ones on the PSP, and yeah, then I stopped on the 4th. That's the only God of War I was done with. I was just done with it.
Yeah. Well, so God of War
Hack and slash formula.
Well, it's a hack and slash formula, so it gets stale pretty quick. At this point, it gets really stale really quick because there's so many games that use God of War's original format and build off of it so much.
Yes.
That God of War just feels derivative and boring and stale at times.
Yeah, like it was great when you first fought. Oh man, I get to fight a 8-headed Hydra and I get to cut off all its heads, and then they did it again.
Yeah, I mean that's honestly the only thing God of War really has going for is the thematic sense of the game.
The settings in the game are epic.
Yeah,
that's what really was good, and that was about the only thing good in Ascension or whatever it was. But they almost kind of made it way too thematic, like pull the camera way out over here and you're running around on this Titan in the beginning of the game, and it's like it's almost trying to get too grandiose now.
I mean, after you kill Zeus, what's really left?
Yeah, exactly. You kill your
Kronos
father. Yeah.
Well,
that's when you're ascending to a god now that you killed them all.
you become the god.
Yeah.
Does that make your son Jesus in this next game?
Everybody's son is Jesus. Just name him Jesus. Exactly.
I don't know. I don't have a PS4 yet. I have a PS4 game, but I don't have a PS4 yet.
Yeah. Final Fantasy 12 Collector's Edition.
Yeah, I got the Zodiac Edition, and I don't have a system to actually play it on. Yeah, I have nothing to play it on, so I'm not really looking forward to it. I have no interest in it. I'll be interested to see what happens with it. What happens with God of War Dad.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It'd be one of those things maybe I'll pick up one day.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because it's like trying to teach his son, but then
I'm assuming his son's going to die pretty quickly. Because if his son doesn't die, then you're just playing.
I mean, the rest of his family had died before.
Is that what it was?
Yes.
The zombie game. I
feel
like if the kid doesn't die, you're just playing The Last of Us with a God of War skin.
But also, I could see them doing it where he dies. I can't remember his name now. God damn, Kronos? No, Kronos is a god. Kratos. I'm like, I know it's off of Kratos. Because it was a reference to the Titan. But yeah, Kratos. I have a feeling he might die, and then his son might take over the game franchise.
Maybe.
And have it run through.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, and there's a number of ways they could take it. I don't think they're going to finish it.
What if it's not actually his son?
And that could be. It could be he just got his son. I mean, he fucks enough things in those games.
Does.
That
maybe you just fucked some chick, and when she died, he just adopted her son.
Yeah, because all his family was killed.
Yeah.
That's why
he killed his family.
Someone killed his family.
I thought it was
Did
him.
he kill him?
I thought because he's covered in
their ashes.
Yes, I thought he killed them.
Maybe he was forced to kill them by the God of War.
Yeah, it's been years. So I'm not even confident
in some
my
way
own
or
answer.
shape or form. They all died.
Yes.
So I almost feel like he wouldn't want to birth another son. But yeah. I don't know. He does fuck everything. So you never know.
Yeah, I don't know.
It'll be interesting to see what comes in gaming in the next few months to the next few years.
Oh yeah. Before we go, you want to talk about anything else? What's coming out? What we're putting out on the channel, or?
So we got some new games that we've recorded this week. We'll get some Pokken Tournament.
Yes.
We're gonna get some Mario Kart.
Yes, that was
some crazy 200cc Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Fast as you can get.
For now, who knows?
Yes.
Maybe they'll put something else new in there.
250. 250.
I want a 500.
I need tree fitty. Tree fitty. I'm just need tree fitty here right now, and mirror mode. Tree fitty mirror mode. Hard as fuck.
That'd be interesting.
That'd be hard as fuck.
Yeah, so we got those. Monster Hunters going again.
Yes, we're gonna get some Monster Hunter out there. You just finished doing some of those. We'll
I
probably
did.
see some of that this Friday. And we'll have to see what else we're gonna schedule up for some recording.
Leave a comment if there's something you think we should play, something you're interested in, or tell us that we're wrong about something, because we're probably wrong about a lot of things.
Exactly, correct us. Feel free to correct us.
Don't correct me, I'm perfect.
Whatever you say, buddy, whatever you say. I know I'm a great mess of imperfection.
I like to pretend, okay?
It's good to pretend. It's good to have aspirations to strive for. It's good to strive towards
Yes.
perfection, though I know I'll never get there.
Right. Anyways, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe,
Yep.
make fun of Sammy's face, even
Oh,
though
yeah.
his face isn't on this one.
It's weird. It's a
It
weird
is.
face.
It
Big
is.
nose.
It had lots of sausage in it earlier.
Yes, it
Because he
did.
couldn't get his Five Guys
It was tasty.
in his mouth.
Oh, that sausage and them pierogies, that was tasty. Can't beat it.
Yeah.
Well, until next time, guys, we're Geeks with Issues, and this is Geeks with the Podcast.
Take care of each other.
Bye.
Later.